Welcome to my review of the most exciting Mando and Grogu movie launch wave set with the 2026 The Razor Crest. It's set number 75447 with 930 pieces and a retail price of $150. We have one particularly exciting minifig included amongst the five here. Of course, the box art is absolutely gorgeous on this one. This is some of the best LEGO Star Wars box art I feel like I've seen in a long time. The side of the box has the movie logo, which makes it feel a little extra special to me. And then on the back of the box, it has the Razor Crest landed at what looks like a New Republic base, along with highlighting a couple of play features. And that's it, just highlighting a couple things there, and a $150 set feels a bit light to me, but we'll see if there's more than meets the eye throughout the review. Now, cutting into the box and pulling out the contents, we've got a standard LEGO instruction manual. You've also got a fairly sizable sticker sheet, which I can live with if the gray matches the gray of the brick, so we'll see about that. And then we have bags numbered 1 through 8. Minifig wise, we have 5 included in the set, which feels like a good enough number to me, and we'll start with the least exciting one, the Imperial Remnant Stormtrooper. This is just a standard clean Imperial Stormtrooper with the addition of an unprinted black pauldron. Now, as of the recording of this review, the movie hasn't released yet, so perhaps it represents a specific scene. But if we look at the Funko Pop, the Vintage Collection, the Black Series, and Hot Toys versions of the Imperial Remnant Stormtrooper, almost all of them are significantly weathered or dirty in some way. LEGO had the opportunity to create a cool, unique version of a Stormtrooper for this set and chose not to. I guess on the bright side, we get a new E-Web blaster for this Stormtrooper though, and it's going to be great for playability, as you can have him hang on to the handles. Colonel Ward is next, and I think she's a very nice minifig with the perfect hairpiece choice. She does have a couple of different facial expressions, so you can switch those out as you please. The torso detail is also pretty solid here with the proper rank insignia. I just feel like she could have used a singular arm print on her left arm of that New Republic insignia, and they only would have had to do it on the one arm, so it definitely feels like another case of LEGO being cheap here. Still a nice figure, but we can see corners have been cut. Next, LEGO's dropped a new variant of Mando in his Beskar armor for this new movie, and I forgive you if at first glance you can't tell what the difference is, but it's really down to the legs. They have added footprinting and changed up that leg printing just ever so slightly, and I do think it really does upgrade the figure, especially that footprinting, because it really feels like it completes what is otherwise a figure chocked full of detail and prints all over. I think this is a great figure. It is going to be a little disappointing, I think, to people that the hairpiece for Din Djarin is not included, even though the face print is there, so I do think that is a little bit of a downside, but overall this is becoming truly a perfect figure, and there's not really any room for improvement here. Next, we've got a new version of Grogu for the movie with this brand new Grogu body mold, which is just so good compared to what we had before. Of course, the heads are the same, but the body being different, and that old LEGO baby body, it worked for a time, but this is a massive improvement, and it's really great to see here. You have the Mandalorian armor on Grogu in this case, but you can also find him with a cleaner, non-armored look in the AT-RT set. You still have the ability to turn the head. Of course, the bottom of his body is hollow, so you can have him attach onto studs as you please, but otherwise there's no articulation to the arms or anything. It's still a pretty standard baby LEGO experience, but I think it is pretty awesome to have a new, better looking version of Grogu. I think it was much needed, and of course couldn't come at a better time here. I definitely had to save the best for last here in Zeb. He is the first LEGO Star Wars minifigure in what is now the 28th year of the theme's history to get dual molded arms, and it is definitely disingenuous for me to frame it that way because dual molded arms were not introduced until 2014. So it really only took LEGO 13 years to put dual molded arms in a LEGO Star Wars set. What's the big deal? Like, there were only 100 other minifigs or so with dual molded arms before a Star Wars set got one. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's just a kid's toy. It's obviously insane that it took so long, and it does truly show what a penny pinching theme LEGO Star Wars can be, but on this individual basis with Zeb, ignoring the outside noise there, it is an amazing thing to have, and it's perfect to represent the detail on him, where he has the clothing down half his arm, and then it kind of cuts right off to the actual like fur on his arm, and the color on it perfectly represents that. The legs are also dual molded, which, while not as rare as dual molded arms for LEGO Star Wars, are definitely a rare occurrence and a very welcome addition to the figure as well. Again, properly representing the detail you see for the lower half of Zeb's body there. So those dual molded parts there go a long way towards making this Zeb minifigure look amazing, but also important is actually having properly accurate printed detail, and we actually do have that here on Zeb with his vest in the nice white color with the New Republic logo on the top. You've got some straps printed on there, as well as a pair of tubes running down the center of his body, and honestly, the pair of tubes I feel like is wrong. From what I can see, it should only be one singular tube running up and down, so I feel like that's one detail that they definitely messed up on this figure. I think it's obviously still a lot of good detail here, but wrong is wrong in this case. The head mold has been subtly updated from what we saw back in 2014, and I think it's most apparent when you look at the ears on Zeb. You can see that extra texture that is on the newer figure, and I think that looks amazing. Overall, the detail on the new head is amazing with that smile and the pupils within the colored eyes, because if they had not included pupils here, I think all of the goodwill from the dual molded parts would be gone for me, because I think it would look terrible without pupils. So really the only knock against this figure is the fact that it has 2 tubes instead of 1, which you could chalk up to this being designed based on concept art, given it's coming out before the movie, so a little benefit of the doubt there, I suppose. Otherwise, I really don't understand how the minifig designer could mess that up, but nonetheless, this is very much a minifig of the year contender, I think, for a lot of LEGO Star Wars fans. And while it's hard to say any lone minifigure is worth buying a whole $150 set for, this is one that definitely may push people over the edge towards buying this new Razor Crest, as the Zeb figure is simply amazing. When I finished building this set, I basically thought to myself, yeah, that's the Razor Crest, just a little bit more yellow than before, but it genuinely is a good Razor Crest playset build. I actually like it and think this could be a really big hit. The problem this one will run into, though, is that it's not the first Razor Crest playset build, and so for many, comparison may be the thief of joy. But I really do think this is a solid model, even though it's a slight downsize from what we last saw. Maybe a good analogy here is the 2016 Turbo Tank, where, yes, the build was smaller, but it was nicely refined, and it was still a really great set, unlike the 2025 Turbo Tank. By the way, the proportions on this model look really good to me. I was worried that the tail end might feel too short or something, but it really doesn't. In hand, it looks really nice, and I can't stress that enough. I was also pleasantly surprised to find the stickers are not a complete eyesore on this Razor Crest. It seems that our complaints have not fallen upon deaf ears in the LEGO sticker department, and they have finally figured out how to make gray match gray. You can see from the 2025 MTT that gray did not match at all, and it looks horrible, and on the Razor Crest, it is a million times better. This was make or break here. Could you imagine how bad this Razor Crest would look with a bunch of miscolored stickers? Well, you don't really have to, because the 2020 Razor Crest suffered severely from this same issue. I think it's something that's even more noticeable in person, and this upgrade goes a long way towards making the new Razor Crest look extra clean. From the front on, the Razor Crest has some very nice shaping, and you can see minimal gaps for the windscreen, so that's very nice. You also have the main cannons for the Razor Crest on either side of the front. They're the same exact design, but do look very nice. You can actually open up this section on either side, so on this one, we've just got a grill piece in there, but if we flip it around and pull it down, we've got a nice printed control panel. I think the idea here is to have Grogu come in and press some buttons, fix up whatever's wrong with the Razor Crest, save the day. I don't know, just some imaginative play. Maybe it recreates a scene that we're going to see in the movie. Not really sure at this point, but yeah, it's a cramped space for sure, but it's a nice printed piece in there, so that's a positive. Getting up to the cockpit, we've got this amazing printed windscreen piece, and the design on it seems to be one-to-one to what we saw in 2020, except it's just color swapped for the yellow of this Razor Crest. So it nicely touches the yellow bricks at the top, yellow bricks at the bottom, and the yellow printing does seem to match the brick pretty dang well. Removing this top section to access the interior is really simple. You just take it off. They basically used the weakest clipping technique that they could, but I think that's a good thing here because, of course, it's not just going to fall off while you're flying the Razor Crest around. It's a little wobbly, but it's not just going to fall off, and then you have to want to remove it to remove it. It's also a pretty cool build in here to hold these two pieces together. I thought that was a really creative, fun part of the build. For being honest, the cockpit at first glance might not feel like anything too crazy, but honestly, it's pretty spacious, and it's going to allow the minifig to sit straight up. They don't have to lay down. That's not a luxury every LEGO Star Wars set is afforded these days. So I think the way this works is you can put Grogu on either of the jumper plates, and then we can take Mando, put him on the very front one. Of course, you can't put Grogu right behind Mando because he's still wearing his jetpack, so Grogu would not be able to be on the stud right behind him. But there is still an empty seat there, so technically we should be able to fit Zeb in. And so we can absolutely fit 3 characters inside of the cockpit here. Got to close it up to prove it, though, and it does. Look at that. Everybody's in. You can see it barely wraps around Zeb's head, but it does. Wow. Moving further up onto the body of the Razor Crest, we've got a pair of stud shooters. They shoot studs. I think the yellow stripes in this section look very nice, but I do think people will be disappointed by the fact that there is no escape pod like we saw in 2020. This section here is just detail. It is not a play feature or anything. This just doesn't do anything. Looks great. Just doesn't do anything. I think the engines are very well designed here. I really love how smooth it is on the front end. I also love the use of the window pieces in the middle, and then on the back end, you've got the thrust coming out, which is always great to have. Now moving on down to the main body of the ship, the panel design looks very nice to me, and they are all angled, and that helps make this Razor Crest look much more accurate. Now you can access the interior by just pulling down this ramp on either side, and it's kind of the accurate way, I suppose, to use the interior, but of course your hand's not going to be able to fit in there, so the other larger panels can be opened as well, giving you full access to the interior of the Razor Crest. Unfortunately, it's really not an interior worth accessing. Like, I don't care about this at all. It doesn't do anything. There's a workbench and a couple of clips for weapons. The only minifig we have left to put in here is Colonel Ward, if you really want her to be inside the Razor Crest, but I am really disappointed in the lack of any real function or detail inside of this Razor Crest. The final highlight on this Razor Crest, though, has to be the landing gear. I think this is a perfect execution for a Playscale Razor Crest landing gear. It just looks great, functions great, no complaints. Like, it's wonderful. Now, for swooshability, this set is truly a 10 in that regard. It's very fun to fly around, and thanks to its super sturdy design, you're not going to have a problem with it falling apart in your hands while you're having fun. I really think with this one, comparison may be the thief of joy for some LEGO Star Wars fans. I'm hoping to dissuade you because, yes, this set is smaller than 2020, but if you want to compare the prices, this new one's $150, the last one would be $165 adjusted for inflation. It's not an unreasonable downsize, in my opinion, for the money that you're paying here. I also do think this new one looks better. What you're really giving up is a bit of that interior detail and play functionality that we saw with 2020. You're just not going to have that here in 2026, but I do think if you're a collector looking for something to look nice on your shelf or your display, this one is going to be the one that you want. I think it looks really nice. And so for this one at $150, of course, you can always wait for something to go on sale. But unlike some other recent LEGO Star Wars sets in this price range that shall remain nameless, I don't feel terrible about somebody paying full price for this. I really wouldn't hesitate to recommend this if you do find yourself liking what you see. I will put my affiliate link down in the description below if you do decide you want to purchase this one. Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments section below. I'm going to go with a solid 9 out of 10 score for me. I really like the set, clearly. You know, it's got flaws like anything, but it's mostly very good here. So let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and check out more LEGO Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu set reviews on the end screen now.